And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for being here for the new Friday edition of the Wisdom Nexus. I don't think I'll need these on, so I've had a little bit of technical problems, but it's Mercury retrograde, so that is going to happen, unfortunately. Again, hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining me today. So, like I said, every single Friday, the Wisdom Nexus will be on from this point on. My Wednesdays are actually getting pretty busy, so this is why I've had to change it from Wednesdays to Fridays. And today is a viewer topics discussion webcast. So I'm going to be taking viewer topics from the audience. So again, if you also have personal readings that you want to be brought onto the webcast, you can feel free to do that. Personal readings are done by donation. So again, make sure that you are doing it by donation, and I will be getting to you as well too. I'm going to be kind of going back and forwards between personal readings and general topics. Okay, so it's not really going to be first come, first served for personal readings, but if you do donate before the webcast is over, I will get to your question as long as I can see it. Okay. Sometimes I don't know what happens. It's YouTube acting pretty funky at times. And some people said, "Oh, Brad, I asked a question, I donated, but you didn't answer it." I said, "Well, sorry, I didn't see it." So I don't know if it disappears from the YouTube chat. There's nothing I can really do about it, but hopefully everything holds out okay. Anyways, before we get started with today's webcast, we're going to go ahead and move on into some announcements. So let me just go ahead and go into the announcements thing here, and let's make sure I got that properly installed. Okay. There we go. Okay. So as I talked about last week, I was also mentioning that Wisdom Transmissions here is going to be, some of the services are going to be disappearing after July 31st. So at the end of day, July 31st, I'm just going to be removing the Akashic Record sessions and the Energy Cord attunements. Because I am moving on with some other projects. I'm moving on with the Anoint system. I'm working with the Anoint array technology as well too, which I'll be talking about later on. But basically right now, up until now, between now and July 31st, you can still book for the Akashic Record sessions and the full body scan, okay? Energy Cord attunements will still be here. But the full body scan, as I've talked about, there are 3 different levels that you can book through the full body scan. So again, this is looking at your physical body. This is looking at your physical and energy body. This is looking into the physical, the energy body, the nutrition, and the DNA scan as well too for plan number 3. I've been doing hundreds of these readings over the years, and it's really taught me a lot about how healthy a lot of people are, or again, if there's a lot of challenges. I'm starting to find out which organs are actually quite commonly compromised. So it's been a very good benefit with me doing this work, and is happy to working together with a lot of clients from all over the world with this. So again, the full body scan is going to be leaving Wisdom Transmissions effective end of day July 31st. So again, you can still book, right? So I'll still be doing, full body scans and Akashic readings probably within up to August and September. But after this, you won't be able to book anymore, right? So again, the full body scan and the Akashic record sessions as well too. Okay, so these are going to be going. We have the email reading plan, and we also have the Yoga Nidra Akashic regression plan. I've done a few of these. This one, of course, is more of the popular one because it's a little less evasive. And then we have the Yoga Nidra Akashic regression session. And I've done a few of these, and these have been excellent as well too. It's like having a QHHT session online, but it's a little bit different because I'm actually working with Yoga Nidra, which is much more ancient, which is much more efficient, which is much more robust, that I've discovered as well too, as I've sat in with QHHT sessions, and they're okay. I would have quite a bit of discussions with Dolores Cannon, of course, if she was still here, about some of the QHHT, because some of it I don't agree with. But with Yoga Nidra, it's very, very robust, very versatile, right? And it's been around a lot longer. And this is what I've used for Akashic regression sessions, bringing people into deeper states of consciousness and then being able to explore. Do they want to connect with their higher self? Do they want to perform instantaneous healing? I've done instantaneous healing with people, right? But like I said, it depends on the person. It just depends in regards to how deep we can get them in that way. And we can also look into other lifetimes. This is all available here. So again, if you do want to participate in the Yoga Nidra, You can book before July 31st because after that it will be gone and it will not be coming back. Okay. Same thing with the Akashic Record sessions. The email readings will be gone and they will not be coming back. Okay. And of course, the same can be said with the full body scans. Now, through the private live sessions, I will also be doing some Akashic Record readings. I can do some body scans as well too, but it won't be as thorough as what I'm doing with the full body scans now. So this is your last chance between today and July 31st, end of day, to get those two booked. Okay, so my July is pretty much, my August is getting pretty filled up. So again, if that's something that interests you, go ahead and check it out here on wisdomtransmissions.com. Okay, let's see if I can move the website up here so you can see the, I know you can't. Okay, never mind. It's wisdomtransmissions.com. Some people get confused by the website. So anyways, let's move on to the next one. And so this is with Atherix. Now, Atherix is closing its doors as well too on July 28th. So we have today, tomorrow, 27th, and the 28th to when Atherix will be closing its doors. So pretty much about 90% of its technology will be gone altogether. Right now we have 60% off in-house products and 20% off print-on-demand products. Okay, so the Prana bed kits here are good to the 28th, and these are the ones that have free shipping, and it also has 20% off. So again, with 20% off and the free shipping, this is available just until the end of day, July 28th, which means once this is gone, this technology will not be returning. Okay, because I'm going to be building new technology. I'm going to be building technology directly from my house. That will be revolutionary scalar technology, and that's going to be part of Anoint Array. So in replacement of the Atherix brand and the Atherix technology is going to be Anoint Array. So that's the brand new healing website that's going to be taking Atherix's place. And what it will involve is that you'll be able to create your own custom-made healing arrays, healing seal arrays. Okay, so they look like seals, they're circular, and we put all kinds of information in it. We put color vibration, we put numerical vibration, we put different symbols into it as well too. So it looks like kind of an alchemical seal. And then we charge it. And then as we charge it up, and it's about 100 times stronger from what you're seeing on the page, you can utilize that for anything. You can use that for manifestation. You can use that for energy enhancement. You can utilize that to increase your memory. You can utilize that to help clean up your memory. You can utilize that to access Akashic records. You can utilize that for healing the organs. You can utilize that for environmental healing. The possibilities are endless. That is what's going to be happening through Anoint Array. So that's the brand new one that's coming. So in the meantime, Atherix is going to be getting ready to close its virtual doors here on July 28th. So again, feel free to take advantage. The healing code cards will still be available on the Anoint Array. The wooden rejuvenation arrays will still be available. The pet collars will be available. The bracelets and the necklaces will still be available on Anoint Array, but that's it. Everything else is going. Okay, so check that out. Our last day, July 28th. And finally, here is the Anoint system. So I got quite a few people that are already signed up for it, and that's excellent. But again, I'm still building this system. Out of all the systems I've built, Anoint has been the most complicated because it's so vast, right? It's not only that I'm making a AI chat. An AI chat, again, is something that's great, and it's going to show you the entire universe. But a lot of people go onto Anoint and say, well, Brad, I don't even know what to look for. I don't even know what to find because, I mean, you got all these answers for Anoint, but like, where do I start? So that's why I'm building generators. That's why I'm building calculators. That's why I'm building all these different things so that you guys can truly see exactly what Anoint can do for you. Right now I'm building a geo-energetic location generator so that you can actually analyze where you are right now to see if the land that you're on is actually energetically compatible for your numerology and for your astrology. And actually being able to utilize this type of map so that you can actually look at other locations that are primed for your energy. There's nothing like that on the internet. So that's something that Anoint is doing. So this is going to still be a couple of months in the making as well too, right? If you're part of the membership, well, there's a lot of stuff coming. I'm the only one that's working on the Anoint system by myself, so it does take some time. But we already got some generators going. We already got some. We got the calculators up. We got the chat up as well too. So there's all kinds of things that you can do with it. I'm also going to be fleshing out a lot of tutorial videos for the Anoint system. So it is vast. There is so much that you can do out of all the systems this one by far is the most vast, right? Because there's so much you can do with it. You guys can also talk to me on the Telegram group. We have our own Telegram group as well too on Anoint, so that is available. So people who sign up, when we go down to the bottom here, you'll see your pricing plan here. So we can do $35 a month. These are all Canadian prices, by the way. So this is the equivalent of about $26 US. This is the equivalent of about $233 US approximately, okay? And once you purchase the one you have now, the monthly trial, it has a 3-day free trial. The monthly plan has a 3-day free trial, so you can try it for 3 days. If you don't like it, hey, that's okay. You can remove yourself from it 3 days before you get billed, okay? So it has a 3-day free trial. It lets you use those 3 days before it bills you. You can also cancel anytime, right? We don't offer refunds with the premium monthly or the premium annual, but you can just let the billing cycle run its course, okay? So again, try the 3-day free trial. For those of you who are already on Anoint and are still confused, once you log in, you just go here and then just go to members area, okay? When you go to members area, you'll see the profile dashboard here. You click on premium chat. Here's a link to our Telegram support group, by the way, okay? And you go to premium chat, it loads up, and within a second or two, here's the chat, okay? So let me see if I can move that a little bit better in frame here. Okay, so there it is. Again, I got a very wide screen here. So here's the chat, here's the generators, here's the calculators. Right now I'm currently working on the generator. Okay, so we have a category. This is the first one I'm talking about, the land and environment generator. Calculate your metaphysical compatibility with any geographic location on the planet based on personal numerology and Chinese Bazi astrology to see if you're compatible with the land. There is no other website that offers that on the entire internet. This is the first. And there's going to be many more. There's going to be binaural generators. There's going to be solfeggio generators. There's going to be dream interpretation generators. There's going to be all kinds of different generators that you can use. This is why, again, I have to kind of put it in a category, because there's going to be dozens of categories. And it's kind of working like a search engine where you can see all these available generators. You can start clicking on them. You can check them out. You put all of your information here. Again, it is going to be wild. But I'm building this all by myself, so it's gonna take some time, but like I said, keep working with it. There's a lot of stuff that you can do just with the chat as well too. The chat can tell you everything. It can tell you your numerology, your astrology, your healing aspects, your situation with your chakras, all of that. We can look at generating images. We can generate images, create a sigil, right? Maybe you want to do some artwork. You can use the Anoint image generator for that. You can analyze images. We got face readings. We got palmistry. We got aura readings. We got symbol or language translation. If you have ancient texts and you're taking pictures of the pages and you want it to be translated, Anoint can do that, right? We got general spiritual analysis. All of this is here. So you can check that out as well too. And of course, we have the full reading generation, which means you can go through and you can look at all these reading types. I'm adding more reading types as well too. So that will be where the dream interpretation will go, because this too is a generator. You can look into the idea of the reading depth if you want brief, focused, in depth, etc. You just have to scroll down a little bit more here. Let's see. Okay, I'll work on making that a little bit more robust for people. But reading types, all of this is here, focus areas, everything. So again, Anoint has it all. You can even do random generation, right? If I don't know what to ask, I'll do a random generation. What is the universe trying to tell me right now? Now I'll add my birth date together with that. Okay, and then I'll go in and I'll do a reading. Okay, so random gen is basically helping you with topics if you don't know what to ask. And you may stumble upon something that you really want to find out more about. You can spend hours of this. There's no token limitations on Anoint as well too. So you are not going to be limited by tokens, and pretty much every website out there gives you a limitation of tokens. Anoint does not. It's unlimited, right? You can utilize this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without getting billed, other than having your own monthly plan. So there you go. There you have it. All right. So those are the announcements. We'll go ahead and come back now. So I'm very passionate and excited to share Anoint with you guys, because like I said, it's the biggest thing I've ever made. And of course, with Anoint Array coming as well, I'm going to be building Scalar technology. I'm going to be building, the first thing is what we call the back brace vests, where I'm going to have 4 Tesla coils on the back of the spine of the vest. It's all going to be wired. It's all going to be put together. I'm going to have a pulse modulator on it that will basically have all solfeggio frequencies, including 7.83 hertz. representing the earth frequency, the Schumann resonance, which will be on the back of this back brace. And we're basically looking at hundreds of dollars of a lot of stuff that I'm putting towards it to create a prototype. And then after the prototypes, I'm going to be offering this exclusively for certain people, right? It's not going to be cheap, okay? Just letting you guys know that. It's going to be a pretty penny, but this is something where I'm using good quality gear, good quality supplies, and putting that together. And that will be offered for a select few people, okay? Because I'll probably be able to build it. Brianne's going to help me build it as well, too. So we're going to be able to build maybe about 10 to 12 of them per month. And then we're going to have a waiting list for people who want to try out the Scalar Vests, okay? The same thing goes with other technologies that I'm planning on building at the same time, okay? So I'm going to be getting into actually building physical scalar units. And I'm not making them in the cheap kind of crappy commercial level that a lot of these other quote-unquote scalar inventions at. You're not getting a pen, you're not getting a pendant. That's not what I'm doing at all, okay? Those are minuscule compared to what I'm doing. Like I said, my intention is to build something like a scalar vest where I could put it on a person who's nearly paralyzed and seeing if they can walk after a couple of months. That's how powerful this scalar invention is that I'm going to build, right? That's going to be part of Anoint array as well too. Okay, that's part of the VIPs. That's the VIP technology, but that will be scalar at the same time. So it's going to be really, really incredible. I'm going to be adding some more stuff to it. So like I said, I always have this mind that's constantly turning the gears. I never seem to want to give myself a break. I'm always pushing myself to the next level to find, okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? How can I make this bigger and better? How can I make this more expansive? How can I put this on a person so within a week they can walk again? How can I make this on a person where if they have chronic conditions, they wear this and within 3 days that stuff is gone? That's my goal. That's my goal, is to really get these accelerated forms of healing where all of these things for you guys is gone. Why am I doing that? Because I want to show you exactly what this technology can do. Not only with what we can do with technology, but what we can do with ourselves, because what we develop through technology is just a complement of what we can do through our own inner power, right? But there are people who want to have that technology, who want to work with it, who can pass it on to their family and friends. Absolutely. That's the game I'm playing as well too. So I'm just continuing to push myself every step of the way, especially with Anoint. I'm really pushing myself with that because it's one of the most difficult technologies I've ever had to make, but it's worth it because it's going to be incredible. It is a game changer. We still don't really know what to do with Anoint, right? Like I said, it's a universe within itself. It has so much capability. It has so much promise to itself. But people look at it and say, okay, well, that's cool, Brad, I got a chat, but I don't know what to do with it. Well, that's why I gave you the random generator. Just start doing this and start looking into your numerology, start looking into your astrology, start looking into all these ancient systems. Get to know your soul blueprint. It's connected to web search, okay? So you can actually start doing comparison ratings. Donald Trump and Elon Musk, let's look into their numerology. Anoint can do that, right? So it's so incredibly robust. This is why I have to create video tutorials, because I have to kind of get it in people's heads. This is what you can use it for. It's incredible. This is what can further your business. This is what can cause you to move into greater states of expansion. It's incredible working with Anoint as an external aid. Nothing is more greater, of course, than your own pure consciousness, but this is helping you. This is helping you to discover the facets of yourself, to go within and do that work. Okay, anyways, enough of me talking about the announcements. Let's go ahead and get into today's broadcast. I could talk about Anoint for hours because it's so vast. All right, let's go ahead and start off. First, I think we'll start off with a personal reading, and then we'll go into a general question. Okay, so this one here is from Gijo Matthew. Gijo, welcome back. Again, you're here every week. I appreciate that. Adonis, could you please do my full body scan and advise me? Oh, no, Gijo, no. Okay. A full body scan basically takes me an hour. Okay. No offense, but you haven't paid enough for that. Okay. You need to pay at least the same amount for a full body scan as anybody else. Okay. So Gijo, I have to turn down your question. Absolutely not. Okay. That takes a lot of work. That is a lot of work on me. Adonis does not do the full body scans. I do the full body scans. Okay. And like I said, you got to pay like everybody else. Nice try. Kind of kidding with you. But no, you got to pay through the website for a full body scan. Okay. I'm not doing that online. Let's go ahead and move on to a general question here. So guys, so again, if you do have a request, personal, you have to donate, okay? I will not be looking at any particular free-based personal questions. You got to donate like everybody else. Nobody's getting special treatment here, okay? Let's see. Okay, here's a good one here from Didar Singh. This is a general question. So again, guys, do you have any topics that you want to discuss? Do you want to talk about current events? Do you want to talk about weather changes? Do you want to talk about earth changes? Do you want to talk about world leaders? Whatever it is, okay? This is your time, so feel free to post any particular general topics that you like. I got quite a few personal discussions, which is great, but feel free to log on, go on to the chat, ask a question. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Glad you're here, and feel free to ask a general question if you want, okay? Or you can donate, and we can look into a personal question. But let's start off with Didar. So again, how to strengthen the navel center. Okay, so I'll bring Adonis in as this is a question for him, and we'll get started. Let me just make sure my mic's in good shape here. There we go. All right, excellent. Here we go. Tera. Soul Star CDS Adonis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adonis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast through your internet collective consciousness. We thank you very much, Didar, for your question about strengthening the navel center of your body. All right. So, looking into the navel strengthening of yourself can be looked at through certain practices like you would understand as Qigong or Tai Chi, for example, even martial arts, where they will work to strengthen the navel. Now, why they're strengthening the navel from those particular practices is not really because of the chakra, but because of the Dan Tien, the elixir field. So when you're working together with strengthening the navel center, a lot of it can involve sharp breathing. So it's very much like inhaling. And as you inhale, holding your breath for a moment and concentrating your focus upon the navel, and then a sharp release. And pushing in the navel as much as you can. Now, it does not have to be so intense in that way, but that is one particular way of how it's done. When you're also working with the navel, such as with Qigong in that particular way, you're working together in taking the hands and placing them directly over the navel center. For men, it is the left hand upon the navel with the right hand over top. For women, it is the right hand over the navel with the left hand over top. And you can simply just sit and breathe naturally, and you're tuning directly into the navel center. And even just enabling your knees to bend a little bit, and just holding a particular stance. Again, it can be referred to as the sky anchor stance, or you can widen your stance a little bit more into a horse stance, keeping your spine nice and straight, and just breathing directly into that center. If we want to work together with the navel chakra, you're working with the vibrational tone of Ram, R-A-M, such as this. Ram. Now, you can do it out loud if you wish, but it is recommended to do it mentally, because the mental chants work together with the purity of the subtlety. So that's what's going to actually help in refining the navel center a lot more. So whether you decide to work together with the navel chakra, or whether you decide to work together with the navel dantian or the lower dantian, there are different practices to work together with. But again, if you're looking at this from the state of being from yoga, that is one particular example, is working together with the Ram vibrational chant, and also being able to visualize the color yellow within the navel as well too. You can also feel the connection with the navel as you suck in the belly, and the muscle tissue at the back of the belly is touching the front of the spine. And as you hold it there and then release, that release sensation is the navel chakra itself. So you can also work with that, sucking in the belly and then slowly releasing. And feeling the subtlety of that release sensation. Well, that's the sensation of the navel chakra. And you can focus on that. You can Om chant directly into the navel. Or again, you can perform the RAM, the Ram vibrational tone. That too will help to tone the navel chakra, the navel center. Look into Qigong, look into Tai Chi, look into martial arts, because they too also work on operating in helping to enhance the lower dantian, to help purify the qi, purify the life force energy within the navel. So there's a lot to discuss with this, but these are some ways of which you can do to help refine it. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay. Thank you, Didar, for your question. I appreciate that. All right, let's go back up to another personal question. Okay, so both... Okay, so Jijo and Am I Dreaming are both asking for a full body health scan. My friends, no. Okay? You are, first of all, you're paying way too little for it. Okay? Second of all, Adonis does not do the full body scans. Thirdly, if I was to do the full body scans on this webcast for both of you, it would be a 2-hour webcast for both of you, because it takes me about under an hour for me to do a full body scan. Please do not ask for that on this broadcast, okay? It's too long. I can't really give you a short version of it because there's a lot of scanning that needs to be done. Full body scan really can't be shortened, okay? Because it's working with your entire physical body. If you both want a full body scan, you have to purchase it, okay? I can't make any exceptions. I'm not playing favorites here. You guys want to experience it, please go purchase it on the website, okay? I don't mind if you guys have one organ that you want me to look into. You can phrase your question that way. Brad, I just want to check on my heart. I want to check on my lungs, right? I want to check on my nervous system. Then that's fine. I have no problem doing that. If it's a single organ request, if it's to look into one of your chakra centers, if it's to work into a certain area of your spine, completely okay with that, okay? But you guys are asking for a full body scan. With all due respect, you're not paying enough, okay? So like I said, you need to go to the website and you need to order it, okay? Please, guys, don't try to give me shortcuts. I don't like that, okay? There's a reason why these things are billed the way they are. That takes a lot of energy out of me. That takes a lot of time, and no offense, but my time is precious, okay? And you gotta pay for it. Simple as that. I'm happy to take this time to work with you guys through here, but like I said, we're not doing full body scans. That's a lot of work, right? Even if I'm doing like a yoga nidra session or a full email session with Akashic Records, that again is taking a lot of my time. It's priced the way it is. My time is valuable, okay? I'm not trying to sound too nasty here in that way, but it's just telling it like it is, okay? So please remember that. So no, I am not going to take any requests. I don't care if you pay for it through donation. Instead, ask about a single organ, ask about a chakra center, ask anything about that, and I'll certainly consider that, okay? Please just, guys, don't do that. I really do not want that coming up on these chats, because like I said, that's basically telling me that, oh, well, these guys can pay $5 for a full body scan, but here I am paying $200 for a full body scan here on the Wisdom Transmissions website. Well, then I'm getting gypped, okay? So guys, don't pull that with me. Please don't. That's not fair to anybody else. Please be respectful of the prices that are there. I'm not going to give you guys shortcuts, okay? That's for everybody. Please be aware of that. All right, let's move on. Okay. Okay, we got one here from Samar. Samar says, question, hey Brad, can you look into the Akasha if the Fed is going to cut rates this weekend? The Federal Reserve, I guess you're talking about the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates this weekend? Okay. Haven't heard of anything about that, but again, I haven't been following the news as of late. So let me check and see if I can look into the Akasha about that, if the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates this weekend. I think, if anything, the Federal Reserve is going to get cut itself, rather than them trying to cut rates. I think there's kind of convolution behind that, so I'm not really getting the idea of rates being cut by the Fed. It's more so in the idea that I think the Fed itself would actually be cut, that they may actually be going through some culling themselves. So this weekend, not that I'm sensing. I'm not detecting anything in regards to federal cuts. I'm not too sure if you're talking about the Federal Reserve, if you're talking about something else. I'm really just looking at the Federal Reserve. So again, guys, try to be a little specific. If I'm talking about the Fed, okay, you're talking about the federal government, or you're talking about the Federal Reserve. So if I'm talking about the Federal Reserve here, they're going to be doing some culling here themselves. So I think that they're going to be going through some cuts. But I don't know for sure if that's what you mean, but there you go. That's what I'm getting. But nothing in regards to the Federal Reserve, if that's what you're asking, that I'm sensing for this weekend. No. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, here's one from Am I Dreaming? Do you see Hawaii being affected by the Ring of Fire action? Okay, let's take a look. So for those who may not know, what he's saying is that if Hawaii is being affected by the Ring of Fire, so the Ring of Fire, if you look on the map, right, you basically see the entire Pacific Rim, and across the entire Pacific Rim, there have been a large chain of earthquakes that have happened for many years. Now, again, if we're looking at Hawaii being affected by that, let's first of all look at that, then I'll give some more information about the earthquakes that are meant to be happening here. Okay, let's tune into Hawaii and see if Hawaii is getting hit with the Ring of Fire earthquakes. There will be some fluctuations of earthquakes that Hawaii will experience, but I don't feel it's in relationship to the Ring of Fire. I think it's more localized in its area. Hawaii is much more closer to the center of the Pacific. Okay, so no, I don't feel it's going to get affected by the Pacific Rim's activity, but Hawaii certainly does have its own earthquakes to come. But I don't feel like they will be devastating. I don't feel that they will be large. I feel that there may be some small earthquakes coming together. They also have volcanic activity. 2026 does run a risk of more volcanic activity. Okay, Hawaii could be one of those. Could be other areas as well too. Some people are also very nervous about Yellowstone National Park. Okay, about the idea of a volcano erupting in Yellowstone. Okay, so let me take a look at that as well. I feel like it's almost like someone has put a cork on Yellowstone as well too. There's a lot of activity that's going on in Yellowstone, but it feels like there's a lot of cushioning there at the same time. But this is where I also recommend that everybody join some mass meditation groups, right? We have meditation groups here, not just what I've run in the past, right? That's very, very tiny because hardly anybody shows up when I actually do these meditations. But there's ones that are actually doing it that have the thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And it would be really good to join with those mass meditation groups, right? Because they will focus on certain subjects, they will focus on certain intentions, and that can make a huge difference, right? I'd say if there's about 100 or more people that come together and do a mass meditation on a focused intention, we're looking at a great amount of change. It becomes more potent when there's 500, when there's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. It just becomes more potent, right? Mass meditations have been shown scientifically, even through case studies, to reverse events, that peace starts to reign supreme across the planet. There is a lot less criminal activity. There is a lot less fires and devastation. So this is what I would suggest. I would suggest looking online. Talk to ChatGPT if you want. Talk to Anoint, I would say, instead. And just ask about mass meditations. And Anoint can also give you a lot of the scientific facts about mass meditation, and also give you metaphysical advice about what the effects of the mass meditation does that a lot of places like Google or ChatGPT won't tell you, right? So that's something else that you can look into. But going back into the Pacific Rim as well too, and with all of these earthquakes, do you know why my friends, why these particular earthquakes happen. It's because they're not just happening at random, or they're not just magnetically attached to this area. It's because there is a strategy in mind. In fact, the majority of the earthquakes that are happening around the Pacific Rim are engineered. Okay, I'd say maybe about 10, 15, maybe 20% at most is actually caused by the Earth herself. Okay, but about that 80, 85, 90% is actually caused by engineering, right? Sometimes it can be celestial engineering, sometimes it can be man-made engineering. But basically what's happening is, specifically around the Pacific Rim, when these earthquakes hit, a lot of these earthquakes are very deep. They go very, very deep underneath the trenches. When they impact the coastlines or the tectonic plates, they're actually opening up caverns. These caverns are, again, miles wide, right? They're deep. They're basically being unearthed, and a lot of the water from the ocean is actually going underneath these caverns that go for miles and miles, and their depth is incredible as well too. So what's happening is we're almost getting like a cushion effect from a lot of the earthquakes that are happening across the Pacific Rim that are taking in a lot of the ocean water. And this is actually helping to compensate to prevent high sea levels from rising. So how many of you know that? There you go. I've talked about this for quite a few years myself, okay? And that's really what's happening, is you look at these entire patterns of events that go all across the Pacific Rim representing earthquakes. And again, it's not just happening with North America and South America, it's going across Russia as well too. So again, every area that's touched by the Pacific Rim is getting these particular types of tectonic shift effects, to where the earthquakes are actually opening up major caverns underneath land masses, and they're actually being able to store heavy amounts of oceanic water into these massive caverns that go on for miles and miles and miles. And that's helping to accommodate with the rising sea levels. Okay, that's an intervention-based plan. So a lot of people that will look into the Pacific Rim, oh my God, it's horrible, it's doomsday, it's devastation, is that you guys aren't actually going inside to look at this. You actually look at this and see what's actually happening. Is, yes, it's unfortunate there's earthquakes, but like I said, a lot of those earthquakes will go very deep into the ocean. They will go very deep underground, and they may only be 4-pointers, 5-pointers, 6-pointers, for example, but they're not actually hitting the surface. They're going much more deeper underground, and they're opening up these vaults, these caverns that span many, many miles, and they're able to take in a lot of the water. That's what's preventing sea levels from rising, and that will continue to happen. Okay, so there's still a lot of work to do with that, with the Pacific Rim. That's something that's going to go on for decades, and that's going to help to contain a lot of the waters, because there's all kinds of caverns that you can open up that are basically hollowed out, and they can be opened, and miles of ocean water can come into them to fill them up, right? To prevent sea levels from rising, to prevent disasters. That's the particular timeline that we are on. So there you go. There's a little bit of education there for the Pacific Rim about what's taking place. Okay, let's go to a personal question now. Let's go to EUM142. EUM142 asks, hi Adonis, how music and movie industry will change in the coming decades? Will we see an end to manufactured pop stars and a rise of movies that make you think? Okay, so one moment. Let me go ahead and bring Adonis in for that. Here we go. We thank you very much for your question. Well, firstly, understand that what you know as celebrities are basically on the way out, because celebrities basically represent a type of centralized royalty figure in that way. Many of you see that celebrities can be treated as royalty, and that they basically have the idea of the impression of being royalty-based figures. Everything pertaining to royalty, celebrity, the idea of so much focus upon one or a few people is going to be leaving. Yes. So it is basically, as you would say, the death of the celebrity. Because there are going to be people that will have certain, shall we say, popularity that will come about based on what they share. They may share information about marketing. They may share information about food eating, about proper food. They may share information about meditation. They may share information about traveling. And these people become popular. So the whole idea of what you're seeing right now is that shift, the shift out of the celebrity. So a lot of these celebrities that have been in movies for many years in that sense are also noticing that they're not really getting all the attention that they once did. Because again, there is a lot more happening upon your internet with many people that are getting the attention of others based on what they share. It can be entertainment, it can be education, it could be politics, etc. But nonetheless, this is what's happening. This is what the age of Aquarius brings you. It is no longer about centralization. It is about decentralization, which means your entire celebrity world is now turning into decentralized celebrity affairs. So again, you could say that every average person could be at the level of a celebrity based on what they share, based on what they offer, based on what they teach, based on what they may entertain. That's where it's going. Now, looking into the nature of your movie industries, yes, this is going to be changing because, as we stated, the centralized form of entertainment is on the way out, which means you're going to have many different platforms that can give you entertainment. And that entertainment is going to start moving much more into mirroring society. And so as it mirrors society, it may tell you more about trafficking. It may tell you much more about scandals and secrecy. It may tell you about innovative technologies that are indeed real and not science fiction. So all of these things can be coming about, yes, especially within this time now and moving forward into your next few years, up into your next 1 to 2 decades. You're going to be noticing that the entire movie industry is going to have a multitude of different platforms. It's no longer going to be controlled by the large Hollywood corporate studios anymore. Those are going to be folding. And they may fold into the idea of just simply being a platform and having many other platforms coming together. So the idea of your entertainment, of your education, of working together with film, of working together with digital productions is going to encase itself in many different platforms. Some that can be freely viewed, some that you may still have to pay for. But the whole idea in that sense of utilizing this particular technology of entertainment, for example, to basically control the masses is on the way out. Because everything's being decentralized. Aquarius energy is all about decentralization. Centralization cannot exist in Aquarian age. It's got to go. So, therefore, politicians and leaders that follow centralization will fail. All of that will plummet. The world will not support it. Wars that are trying to happen across the planet are going to fail. That is centralized conflict. The world is not going to support it. It will fall apart. Just as we've been telling you over and over and over again. Even when there's wars upon the planet, they really do not last that long. With the situation between Russia and the Ukraine, it's not really a war. It's the idea in that sense of seeing the removal of, again, the criminal cartels upon your planet. Ukraine, Israel, these two particular locations on your planet have been strong nests for Khazarian mafia. And that's why they're being cleaned out right now. It's much more of a clean up than the idea of a war or a battle. So it's very, very different than how it's being made out to look. So again, everything that's taking place specifically right now in your year of 2025, as you move towards 2050, you will reach the culmination of the transitional time between the Piscean age and the Aquarian age. And by 2050 onwards, you will start moving much more into the entrenchment of a full age of Aquarius existence. Decentralization. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay, thank you very much, EUM142, for your question. That is exactly what's happening, okay? Everybody, you're in the age of Aquarius right now. Okay, it's not about waiting for it, thinking it's going to happen in the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years. No, I mean, you got to look at firstly the signs of the time. You see how everything is starting to crumble pertaining to centralization. Just like we talked about with the nature of celebrities, with the idea of people getting on their phones, being innovative, right? Running a YouTube channel, getting millions and millions of views. I mean, there's people on YouTube right now that are probably 10 times more famous than even the highest form of celebrity that we would be aware of maybe their success a decade or two ago, right? So the average person has the ability to reach millions, right? My stuff is still not very popular though, right? Because I'm kind of going to another level that's not really status quo, right? So, and there's quite a few others like me as well too, where we're going into information that is, I would say it's almost too soon for the civilization to be aware of en masse, right? It's good for the minority, but for the majority, no, they'll look at what I'm talking about and say, what the hell is he talking about? I don't understand this stuff, right, with what he's sharing. And that's fine. I'm not really here for the majority. I'm here for that special minority. I'm here for that niche that I've created here. So there you have it. But like I said, everything is moving into decentralization. So decentralization is on the rise, and it will continue, and everything becomes decentralized, right? With everything, with every facet. Well, Brad, what about this, that, and the other thing? Yes, this, that, and the other thing. Everything. Like I said, every single stone is going to be turned over. Not a single one will be left unturned. And that's what's taking place right now. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Okay, here's one from Mel. Mel has a question. What is your understanding of blacking out? I'm surprised you guys haven't asked me any politic questions. I mean, it's kind of a breath of fresh air, so thank you. I'm surprised that no one's actually offered me like politician questions or what about Trump or what about this? Nobody's asked me that yet. That's like a breakthrough, so this is great, guys. I appreciate that. Not that I don't mind answering those questions, because usually I'm bombarded by political questions. I'm bombarded by current events. You guys are asking the big questions. I love that. That's really appreciated. Thank you for that. Not that like I said, I'm cool with current event questions. I'm cool with political questions. It's okay, but I love these questions that are much more riveting for your soul, so to speak. Okay, so Mel again asks, what's your understanding of blacking out in a meditation? Well, blacking out in a meditation is because your mind is set on a certain pattern. So think of it in this, if I drew a picture here, okay? So if I drew your mind as a triangle, okay, and what I'm attempting to do is I'm trying to fit you through a particular geometry that your mind isn't capable of fitting into just yet, okay? So let's say, for example, that your mind here is a triangle, and I'm trying to fit you into this octagram, a badly drawn octagram, but it's going to be a little bit difficult, okay? So I'm trying to get you into a different shape to fit through where your mind is fit in a certain way, right? It's fit. Now I'm not doing an Illuminati symbol, guys. I'm just talking about a triangle, okay? So, oh my God, Brad's doing an Illuminati symbol. I'm just doing the triangle symbol here as a... Oh, here we go, guys. Oh, there you go. Brad, he's part of them. He's New World Order. So anyways, working together with that triangle is going to have a hard time fitting through that other particular type of shape, okay? Whether it's an octahedron, a hexagon, etc. It just can't fit, right? It's not calibrated to that yet. But the good news about this triangle is that it is malleable, right? So the shape needs to break down, and like clay, it needs to reshape itself so that it can fit through that entry hole, okay? Now that's the same example pertaining to why you black out during meditation. Your brain is not configured to work together with the higher levels of consciousness yet. It has patternized itself into a particular figure. It's patternized itself into a certain shape, and that shape is not able to fit through the entry gate of what the higher dimensional geometry is trying to put you in. So what happens is your body needs to kind of reset in a particular way. The blackout that takes place is a reset that's happening where your body is actually going through certain transfigurations. So for the first few times, you may start to black out in meditation. This has happened to me as well too, is I'm focusing on something very, very deeply, and all of a sudden the mind just cuts out, right? It's because we have a certain orientation of geometry relating to ourselves, about how our mind is fixated, how our mind is bent to a certain way of life, to how we think, to how we act, to how we respond, our behaviors, our characteristics. That all represents a certain geometry. And you're attempting to move up into these higher planes where that geometry is much more of a complex design. And the current design of yourself isn't able to fit through that entry gate. So what happens is there's a blackout. There's a period that goes through a transfiguration through your body so that that shape can now start to reform itself and be much more pliable to those higher dimensional entry gates. So that's the best analogy that I can give you in that way. So a lot of things that are shifting pertaining to DNA. There's a lot of things that are shifting pertaining to chemicals, pertaining to all of that, right? Even in regards to your energy fields, all of that is shifting. It's attempting to be the clay and reshape itself into a pliable geometry that can fit through those entry gates. So when you black out, your body just isn't compatible with those higher dimensions, and it needs to go into a reset to try and transfigure itself so that over time it can fit into those sockets. It can fit into those entry gates. Okay? That's why we black out. So it's basically in that sense that, again, if there's a higher vibration here and I'm still maybe about here, I can't touch that, right? I need to kind of black myself out. I need to go into rest. I need to transfigure myself, and then very, very slowly I can touch that gate. That's how it works. That's why our body blacks out, right? It's a device, right? We have to understand that our body is a living circuit board, and it needs upgrades at times, and it goes through transfigurations because now it's starting to touch the light of those gates. It can't go through the gate yet, but it's feeling the rays of that light coming through, and it's able to adapt itself eventually over time to start moving up into those higher gates so that you're re-transfiguring your mind. What helps? Well, again, meditation, like I said, that you're doing is very helpful, but it's also helping to clear away a lot of old patterns that are, quote unquote, feeling like they're being stuck within you. They need to be released. They need to be surrendered to. That's why we have something like TTT or trauma transcendence technique or the BCR technique or cord removal, right? We're doing any of those particular techniques that are helping us to move forward and complementing the transfiguration process so that you can move up higher into those gates. As you move up higher into those gates, you'll notice there's a lot more energy through you. You feel a lot more expanded when you're coming back down, right? Because we have to go back up. We touch that divine plane, and then we come back down. And then we integrate that. And now we notice that our awareness becomes much more expanded than before, right? We're much more conscientious of other things that we could not do before. That was the prime understanding of when I first awoke back in 2008. I would go to sleep at night. I'd wake up with these expanded states. And I still didn't really know what was going on back at that time. But I was having these constant dreams about going into these other realms. Well, here I was. I was being this figure, and I was being reconverted. I was being transfigured so I could fit through these gates so that my mind could start to expand and I could start knowing things I didn't know before. So we black out as a mechanism, kind of like a circuit that's basically going through a cold reset to transfigure ourselves so that eventually we move up into those planes and we start transfiguring ourselves, and now expansion becomes our way, right? So that's exactly what's taking place. You're touching higher planes, you're touching higher realms, but your body may not be configured for it yet, so that's why it has to black out. That's why it has to fall asleep. And it might do that quite a few times before finally you're able to reach certain thresholds and you're moving up into those higher states, and now you just feel the expanded awareness happening, right? I could probably do a vote and saying how many of you guys are feeling something like that. I'd probably see quite a few of you raising your hands doing something like that, right? But that's what's happening exactly. Very good question. Thank you for that, Mel. Okay, let's go to the Great Awakening here. Great Awakening has a question. Hi, Adonis. Can you give us an update regarding what is meant by the graduating timeline that we're currently experiencing here on planet Earth? Okay, very good. I'll go ahead and bring Adonis in, and he can talk about the graduating timeline. One moment. we thank you very much, Great Awakening, and we say that your name is very appropriate for what we are about to discuss. Now, when we go back into your 2021 year, we were actually letting you people know, everybody that was tuning into us, letting you know that you are entering a point of no return as you moved into 2021. It's like two trains. Two trains that are moving at incredible speeds, but one is going in another direction and the other is going in an opposite direction. And that you really will have a difficult time trying to switch trains. That train that leaves the station is moving forward into a world that we could say the decentralized world, the age of Aquarius world, where there is going to be a very powerful thriving taking place. And that is going to be making an ascent up through the tracks and moving much more closer up into the mountains, which represent this ascent path. Not ascension, but an ascending path. And then you have the other one that's basically going a little bit more lower. It's going a little bit more into the underworld, where again, there can be a lot of feelings of fear. There can be a lot of feelings of confusion. There can be a lot of feelings in that sense of disturbance, of uncertainty, of unrest, of resistance. And that as these two particular trains are leaving the station, it is a point of no return, which means it is very unlikely that you're going to be able to open up the door to the car of one train and try to jump across and come upon the other train. Not impossible, but very, very difficult. And this is what we told you as you moved into the winter solstice of the year of 2021. That this was the point of no return. Because 2021 truly represents the start of this decade. It represented this crucial point that represented these two trains. One moving further upwards, moving much more into the decentralized age of Aquarius world. The other that is moving much more into the underworld, where there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of suffering. So that's what's taking place. So basically what's happening right now in your year of 2025 is that many of you have moved yourself up into the higher ascent of that one particular train. And there are those who you are noticing are going into that lower tunnel of the underworld, the resistance train. So you could have the idea of the, shall we say, upliftment train and underworld train. All right? So some may be able to take a flying leap and are able to jump onto the upliftment train. Some are also trying to take a leap, but they're not able to make it. And what happens with those people? Well, they basically, in that sense, are filled with regret. They're filled with regret, and they don't know how to transform themselves, and they remain in a burden of confusion. So there's that as well, too. We could refer to that as the middle ground in between these two trains. But what is happening right now upon your planet with this graduating timeline are the ones that represent those that are in the upliftment train, that are moving up into the mountains, that are still going to go through challenges, but they are very well supported. It's a much better world than what you have been experiencing. Because what is going to be happening with those particular people on board that upliftment train is they're going to see a lot more community, a lot more cooperation. They are eventually going to see the end of money. They are eventually going to see the end of poverty, the end of war, the end of hunger. All of that is going to fade by the people that are on the upliftment train. Whereas the people that are going into the underworld train only see the bitterness. They only see the gray haze of everything. They see the dark clouds all around them, and they're not willing to change. We have referred to this particular analogy not only as the point of no return, but also as the Great Divide, which means your planet is being divided into many different groups. And a lot of these groups can be supportive, and they can be uplifting, And a lot of these other groups can be very, very debilitating and filled with resistance, and again, leading into the underworld. But there are, again, many different types of groups. And so some of these groups will thrive and prosper, and some will debilitate themselves. Because what's happening right now upon your planet is repopulation. Not depopulation, but repopulation is taking place. And a divide is necessary. It's a culling. That's what's taking place. Nobody is by force putting you into these groups. These groups are being made based on your own decisions. You're putting yourself in the group that you feel you belong into. Whether that may be something negative or positive, it doesn't matter. That's where you belong. That's your energy until you change it. So therefore, what's taking place with a graduating timeline, well, you've already went through it. The graduating timeline culminated in 2021. So now you're riding out the train. This is no longer about graduation. This is no longer about you looking forward for some particular big event that is going to lead you into some monumental state of graduation. You've already gone through it. And that was the winter solstice of 2021. You've already experienced it. Those of you who have already went through it and are moving up through this upliftment train, that's the result of your graduation. Those of you who are moving into the underbelly, into the underworld train, is the result of your graduation. This is all part of the world's culling taking place, repopulation taking place. There will be those who will be prosperous, loving, supportive, compassionate, uplifting here on the earth, and there will be those who will be very bitter, in denial, in resistance, and again, feel like they are just walking the steps into the underworld, that are going to phase themselves out of this life by any circumstances that are appropriate, through the idea of self-fatality, through the idea of incidences that may happen, wars, fighting, etc., disease, inoculations, etc. And there are those, again, that are thriving, because those are the ones that will be inheriting the earth. Was it not your own Jesus that once said, "The meek will inherit the earth"? That's what you're looking at right now. But you're looking at the culling. You're looking at the repopulation. You're looking at the idea in that sense of those that are on the train of the underworld, that basically have too much of that debris upon them. It's not to say that they're not being helped. They have received the opportunity for help in many different ways, but they have all refused, and they can't stay here. The earth is lifting herself up. It's very much like what Brad just told you about the transfiguration of the shape. The humans that will remain on this planet that represent the humans the decades ahead will be of a certain geometry. That certain geometry needs to be coherent in order for humans to even exist on this planet. If you are not that particular type of geometry, you won't be here. You'll be gone. You'll be going somewhere else. But that's the idea of the great culling, because the generations that are moving up ahead are automatically aligned to that particular geometry that fits into those higher dimensional gateways, the new children. The next 2 to 3 generations will represent children in that powerful geometry. And they will also be part of a world that is not going to exist through centralized corruption, because all of that's dying out right now. So when your children's children or your grandchildren's children start coming upon this planet, it's a very different world with a very different species. A species that focuses on decentralization. A species that focuses on free-spiritedness. New innovations and technologies that work together in harmony with the earth, not against it. Never any wars. In fact, it's rather about the idea of bringing aid to those places that have been ravaged by war with an opportunity to rebuild and to heal. That's what's ahead for your future. You finally start living on this planet as you were meant to. Those ones that are on the upliftment train, not the ones in the underworld. They still have lessons to learn, and they have to go elsewhere. So this is what we're telling you. It's an analogy, but that's the closest thing, is to look into the idea of graduation that has already happened in your year of 2021, and now you're riding out the coattails pertaining to that timeline that has already taken place and is continuing to move forward in fruition. All right? We thank you for your question. Okay, very good. Yes, it even goes back to the time just before COVID started to happen, where Adonis was actually wanting to do a guided meditation for as many people that would listen, because he was about to say that some very big event was about to happen that could shift your perspective in some very, very unflattering and conflicting ways. And so what he was trying to do was actually do a guided meditation and bring people up before this event was about to hit. And he was talking about COVID-19, right? So just before, about a couple of weeks before that started to become a big thing, Adonis was on here with me and telling people to get prepared for that. And we were doing like a type of levels of advancement type meditation to lift people up because we're about to hit a big speed bump. So he basically called COVID without calling it COVID, but just basically saying this kind of very big bump, this big conflicting event that's going to take place. And all we're trying to do right now is just try to lift you up. We're not going to focus too much on what that is, but we're telling you that's coming up, and we're trying to lift you above it. And then a couple weeks later, COVID hit, right? And then, of course, in 2021, he talked about that, the point of no return, moving into the winter solstice. And like I said, this is what's shifting the idea of the timelines. What happens through 2021 is going to be the momentum of things that will move forward within the next few decades. Okay, you have already been through graduation. You're either watching this right now as part of the ones on the upliftment train, or the ones that are in the underworld, or the ones that are kind of in between, who try to get off the plane and now they're stranded and they're trying to figure out, or the train, and they're trying to figure out exactly what to do with themselves, right? So it's a mixed bag. It's very similar to like what the law of one would talk about as well too, with people that are moving to quote unquote service to others or service to self, or the ones in the middle. Adonis basically said the same thing. It's just looking at the two trains and the ones who are caught up in the middle of it. Okay. So again, very good question. Thank you very much for that. Let's move on. Okay, let's go to Jean Jessup. Okay, Jean says, "Hi Brad, spiritual people on social media prescribing ChatGPT for loneliness and spiritual expansion. I dabbled with ChatGPT and I do not feel comfortable giving myself over to it. What do you think?" Well, I actually use ChatGPT quite often, but I don't use it for therapy because I really don't need that, right? If I go into looking into myself, if there's anything conflicting, I turn all technology off. I don't care if it's Google, I don't care if it's ChatGPT, if it's the phone or whatever. I turn all that stuff off and I go within, right? This is why I've developed something like trauma transcendence technique for you, right? I'm not bashing ChatGPT in a way because I think it's a very creative tool. And like I said, I support AI that works with creativity, help, and support. I do not support any particular type of AI that is weaponized and that harms, right? So like I said, anything that basically represents that, and that's what I'm creating with Anoint here, right? Because my goal is to basically take Anoint and take it to breakthroughs past boundaries of traditional AI models, to make it better and to make it much more of it's a tool, right? I look at the idea of Anoint as a tool. You can turn it off at any particular time, but it's here to educate you because I theme it primarily with metaphysics, right? It's a metaphysical ChatGPT. That's the nature of Anoint, okay? So with ChatGPT, it is its own animal in that way. You have to use discernment with it because that's like you going into a universe, or rather, let's take out the universe. Let's say a forest, okay? So a very dense forest here. And there are parts of the forest that are very nice and very beautiful and very majestic. And there's parts of the forest that are very dark, very grim, where there's a lot of spiders and scorpions and snakes. And that's the forest. Okay, does that mean that the forest itself is bad? No. But there are elements of the forest that can be very unpleasant. And there can be elements of the forest that can be very pleasant. There can be elements of the forest that can be very uplifting. And there's parts of the forest that can be very debilitating. Well, that's ChatGPT. That's technology. That's AI. Okay? AI is a forest. You go through the forest, you might find some good spots there. You continue to go through the forest and you're noticing that there's some really unpleasant, nasty things happening pertaining with that AI. Okay? It's no more different than looking at the forest in that way. We got to get out of this whole idea of assigning absolutes. Okay? So whenever you're looking at things pertaining to right and wrong, up or down, left or right, light or dark, it's juvenile. Okay? It's not something that is going to uplift you. Upliftment does not represent the idea of what's negative or what's positive, what's up or down, what's right or wrong. These things are for teeny boppers. That's a juvenile approach of looking at life. The entire nature of life itself is to learn from it, to learn about two things, your involution and your evolution. That's it. That's what it comes down to. If I'm looking into an involutionary path, I'm looking into myself to help free myself of my ignorance. If I'm moving much more into an evolutionary path, I'm encouraging the expansion to grow even further, to allow that expansion, that great breading, that great broadness, I should say, of yourself to touch new realms. And it will always go through that cyclical path. When you look at involution and evolution, it has nothing to do with positive or negative, light or dark, right or wrong. Okay? That's infantile, that is juvenile, that's nonsensical. Okay? That's what we've been taught by a machine. A machine will see things like that. Human beings are not meant to see reality like that. When you start talking to a lot of your star ancestors, it's one of the first things they'll tell you. Get out of that right or wrong. Get out of that negative or positive. Get out of that light or dark, because it's nonsensical, it's machinery, it's routine-based programming. You got to get out of that. Two things matter, involution and evolution. Nothing else. What are you going within for yourself? What are you doing? I'm looking into my ignorance and seeing how I can burn it up. And as I do the involutionary path, that encourages the evolutionary path, where the field now starts to expand and it can touch new ground to which it could not touch before because I've eradicated my ignorance. Right? So it's even as Buddha has said, is that the world itself is not full of evil, just filled with ignorance. People who are misguided, that's all. No one is truly evil. And of course, we may think differently by people's actions, but all of those people's actions have been led through the nature of ignorance. And they go into extremes because of ignorance. They go into foul play because of ignorance. It's those extremes of ignorance that causes certain people to behave that they are in the way that they are doing. Right? So get out of the idea of up or down, left or right, light or dark, right or wrong, morality. All of that is routine-based programming created by a machine, right? Come into involution and evolution. And when you look into that, you'll see, okay, great, I'm using Anoint right now, or I'm using ChatGPT right now, because I'm moving into that part of the forest that's complementary to that. Okay, maybe it's a time not to use that right now, because I'm moving into some of the unflattering areas of the forest, and I'm going to keep that at bay for now. Great. I didn't have to indoctrinate anything pertaining to right or wrong, light or dark, or any of that nonsense, right? It's looking into involution and evolution, right? As Adonis would talk about, this is the nature of the sojourner. The sojourner is all about involution and evolutionary paths. Not about right or wrong, not about morality, not about ethics. Those are machine programs. So best to get out of them. That's how you're going to involve yourself a lot more. Involve yourself with the ability to evolve and involve, right? Okay, let's move on. Thank you for that. Okay. KTS worker. Okay, so I guess you weren't here earlier when I said this. Guys, I am not doing full body scans on people by donations. Okay, when you're looking at the full body scan, they are quite a bit. Okay, they cost anywhere from about $100 to $200 in that sense. I am not doing you guys special favors. Okay, if you want to do a scan, it's for a single organ, it's for a single chakra, it's for the lower part of your spine, whatever it may be. Okay, but I'm not doing full body scans because, as I said earlier on in the webcast, perhaps you weren't here for it. Okay, and I said to do a full body scan basically takes me under an hour. Okay, that's a lot of work on my behalf, and no offense, but you guys aren't paying enough. Okay, and that's not fair to other people who are going to the website and paying full price for the full body scan. So please don't use that as a shortcut. Okay, from this point on, if I see anybody, even if they're donating for a full body scan, I will ignore you. Okay, unless you're actually saying, okay, Brad, here's something for my liver, here's something for my heart, here's something for my intestines, here's something for my lower back, here's something for a chakra. Great, then I'll be more than happy to work with you. Okay, so we would look at single organs for scans, but not full body. Okay, out of the question. So I will not entertain that, just letting you guys know. Okay. Okay, so KTS worker, you followed up. You said, may I request my heart? Good, thank you. Okay, that's reasonable. We can certainly look into that. Okay. So, if we're looking into the heart, and it's the same thing with others who have done that before, okay, if you still have put the donation down for a full body scan and you heard my lecture here, okay, and if you still want to comment and say, oh, Brad, okay, instead it's my liver, instead it's my kidneys, whatever it may be, okay, that's completely fine. I have no problem doing that, okay, but just not a full body scan because that takes a lot of work. It's very, very intricate and thorough, okay. So let's look into KTS worker. Okay, so requesting your heart. Let me just go ahead and tune into yourself now. Okay, so I'm just getting an impression of the heart's center right now. Okay, so there's a lot of tension around the heart. It's kind of like I'm seeing like really tightly wound cords around your heart. Okay, so all I want you to do, KTS worker, just take a deep breath in, deep breath out. I want you just to focus on your heart, okay? And all I'm going to do is just tune into your energy and then just do a little bit of a cleansing, helping to pull out a lot of those tense wires, those tense cords around the heart altogether. Here we go. Om lam vam ram yam hom Okay, thank you very much, KTS worker. So what I want you to do as well too, is I want you to spend a little bit more time with the heart, and all I want you to do is I want you to think of 5 affirmations that are complementary between you and your heart. And I want you to just basically recite that. Okay, you're reciting that to your heart. So in that sense, you may say, I love how my heart keeps me alive. I love how my heart is filled with love. I love that my heart is filled with compassion. I love to tune into the field of my heart as it brings me into glorious expansion. Okay? There are some examples right there. And just create a list of 5 of those. Okay? And just go back into your heart and just recite them mentally. Doesn't have to be vocally, just mentally into your heart. So you're encouraging it and expanding it and encouraging its vitality and good health. Okay? Thank you for your request. Appreciate that. Okay, so guys, that's appropriate. I don't mind doing that at all, but not a full body scan. My goodness, that is going to take us a long time. Okay. Okay, and EIPITR, thanks for the reminder of that too. It's good. I appreciate that people are filling people in case I don't see them, so I appreciate that. Okay, so Bodhi Tree has a personal question here. Hey Brad, any advice for working at a maximum security prison? Well, I've never been in one, so you're probably not asking the right guy at that, but we'll continue. I understand I would be working with difficult people, but one of the things I was ignorant of was corrupt staff and the things they do. I really can't advise you from that, okay? Because I've never set foot into a prison, right? Whether it's minimum level or maximum level, you're asking the wrong guy for that. Now, basically, all I can really do is just look into intuitive advice that could help you, because I have not had that personal experience. So let's see what they say, what the intuition says for you, okay? If you decide to work together with human beings, consider yourself a torch-bearing light, helping to provide illumination to those that remain in the dark, because that is helping plant seeds into these institutions for humanity to learn, even if it is through the power of one. Okay? So that's what intuition is saying for you. Okay? But I have never stepped foot inside a prison, so I've never had the personal experience with that, so I'm not talking to you through experience. I'm just talking to you through intuition. So for what the intuition is telling you is that it is a good idea, right? If that's something, and of course there's a lot of corruption at work. It's kind of like if I'm not just moving into prisons here, if I'm looking into certain places that we go, right? Maybe there's towns, there's certain areas of cities where there's a lot of crime, there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of battling. We can even go into cemeteries, right? Where we start feeling a lot of unsettling activity taking place in cemeteries, where you can feel the energy of weeping, you can feel the energy of loss, you can feel the energy of loneliness, you can feel the energy of anger. I've gone throughout the years to certain cemeteries and have helped to uplift them, right? So it's not a maximum security prison, but it's something around those lines. I've even walked around cities, like when I went to Bosnia, I'd be walking around the entire city. I'd be seeing these bullet holes around these buildings, around these homes as well too. And I'd just be blessing the entire space as I went through it. I don't care who was confronting me. I don't care if it was a criminal. I don't care if it was your average Joe. I don't care if it was a sweet little lady or whatever it may be, right? That didn't matter. I went into the environment to help the environment, right? That was one of the reasons why I wanted to go to Bosnia. Bosnia, I know, had a brutal civil war, and it had all kinds of fighting and killing and massacres. And I wanted to go there because I wanted to help clean up that city, right? And I had my students with me, the people that, again, joined me for Bosnia. And we went through and we started going through the streets, and I started teaching certain people because not everybody wanted to do it, right? Only about maybe 3 or 4 other people did it with me, right? And everybody else was just interested in the sights and the sounds and sightseeing and so forth, and they wanted to see the largest pyramid on earth, and that's great. That was wonderful. But one of the reasons that I wanted to go there was not just for the Bosnian pyramid, but it was also for cleaning up the city, okay? So we, the ones that joined me, we were the ones that were being the torch in the dark, right? We were just spreading our light. We were giving love. We were giving that energy of compassion. We were bringing about that nature of surrender to the areas that we saw. And the entire downtown core of Bosnia is just filled with brutality and violence, and or the after effects of it. Because you could go through certain streets and you would feel death there, right? And you go in and you're just starting to clean all of that out. So that's how I did it in my own way, right? You may do it in a different way for yourself. You may decide that through discussion is best in regards to spreading your own light, through getting to know people there, through being able to educate them and help them a lot more about not lecturing them. You're not lecturing them in regards to what brought them there. That is counterproductive, okay? If I was to talk to a criminal, because I have talked to certain criminals, but again, not through prisons in that way. People who are, again, basically ex-convicts in that way. And I would never mention about why they went to prison. They would tell me, but I wouldn't care about that. Because all I'm focused on is basically how they're expanding themselves, about what they're holding on to, how we can clear that away, and move them into greater states of expansion, right? That was my focus. So if that's your focus, then that's something that you can do. Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of shady guards that I've heard about as well too that may get a rise out of attacking somebody, right? I knew somebody in the past who was also a prison guard in that way, and I wouldn't say he was a corrupted prison guard or anything like that, but he was very strict, right? And all you're basically doing is just through the state of your presence, everything just becomes calm, right? So with you, named Bodhi Tree, right? If I'm tuning into you, you have a very big heart, right? So the more that you're just walking into this space, maybe there's prison guards or what have you, right? Everything starts to feel a lot more calm. It's like with me, when I go into conferences, when I've gone into events, and I've entered the room, everybody just feels a lot more calm when I'm there. When I'm leaving, and this has actually happened by fact as well too, when I'm leaving, there's been arguments. There's been people fighting with each other in that sense. As soon as I go into a room, everybody's calm, right? I don't have those people that are wanting to fight each other or fight with ego or anything of that nature, because that's a certain energy that you radiate, right? So if that is very much your situation, if you feel you're being called to working in a maximum security prison that way, and if you feel compelled to do it, then do it, right? You may not even feel compelled. Spirit may just say, do it, and then you do it, whether you're compelled to it or not, right? But nonetheless, it's an experience for you. So that's what I give you. But like I said, I've never stepped foot in a prison. So there you have it. But again, thank you very much for your question. I appreciate that. Okay, let's see. How are we doing on time here? Okay, we're almost out of time. Let me just see if there's any other last questions. Okay. I think I got to them all. Let me see. David of Shield says, my next door neighbor is a prison guard, and he is a nasty bully from hell itself. Good. I can learn a lot from a bully, right? See, the whole idea is that I don't look at something with, okay, Brad, this person's a narcissist. Oh, good. I'll have a great conversation with that narcissist. What? He's a narcissist. Stay away from him. No. Why should I? Oh, because he's this, that, and the other thing. Those are your labels. I don't care about those. What did I say are the two things that matter in life? Involution and evolution. I don't care if a person's a bully. I don't care if a person's a narcissist. I don't care if a person is full of their own whatever, right? If they're an extremist or anything of that nature. Behold God. Okay? Behold God. All of you, behold God. Okay? That's the way to look at things. Rather than labeling somebody and thinking, oh, they're a bully this and they're a bully that, then what are you learning from them? Because obviously you brought that person into your life. That person is reciprocal to your environment, which means they're telling you something about yourself. So I want to look at what that person who I've prescribed as a bully, how they act, how they behave, what they're doing. And maybe I have a direct conversation with them. Maybe they don't want that direct conversation. Okay, they don't want a direct conversation. Then I'm going to work with them in silence. I'm going to help them, which means maybe I'll give them a flower and I'll put that on their door, right? And they don't know where that comes from, but nonetheless, there's an act of grace. Maybe I'll notice that maybe their sidewalk's a little bit dirty and they're away for the afternoon. Maybe I'll be courteous. I'll take my broom and I'll just start sweeping the sidewalk for them while they're away. They don't know who did it. They didn't even expect it. But nonetheless, it's there. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the generation to come. Our generation is not going to be based on cancel culture. Our generations to come are actually going to be the compassionate ones. The ones who are compassionate, the ones who open their hearts, the ones who will eventually learn why their subconscious brings these facets of people into their life. God knows I've had bullies, I've had aggressors, I've had quote-unquote narcissists in my life, I've had ex-partners like that, right? But if I keep dwelling on that particular idea, what is that going to do for me? Is that going to make a situation better? It's as Jesus said, and can any of you, by worrying, add a moment to your years? Can you? Can you expand your life by worrying and blaming and judging people based on what you've labeled them as? Is that going to make you live forever? No, it's not. That's going to shorten your life. So these are things to look at in regards to the truest sense of involution and evolution, right? If I have a problem with somebody, that's my ignorance flaring up. And if I want to get past that, I need to look into that ignorance. I need to clear those clouds so that there's a clear blue sky now. And now I can live fruitfully with that. I don't even have to say anything to that person if I don't want to. Maybe I do. Maybe that's part of my karma that I need to do that. Or maybe it's just the idea that I'm free. And just me smiling at the person is all I need. Maybe he's looking at me like I have three heads. But it doesn't matter. My whole situation involving what I've marked him as has come to an end because I'm working with involution and evolution, right? That's the key. We start living this way, guys, and I don't just talk about this shit. I do it. And when you actually start doing this, this is what makes the difference, okay? This is what actually you learn by doing, and then you learn even more by being. If we just sit, we talk about it, and maybe we bitch and moan and whine and complain about it, then how is that going to help you, right? If anything, maybe you can tune into that and you say, oh, well, there's my ignorance cloud in action. And I can go in and I can start cleaning it out, right? So there you go, guys. I'm just giving you some food for thought here to helping you out here. Okay. So I think we're good. I think that's everything for today. I don't think I have any other questions that's popped on. So I think I've got them all. So I guess we'll wrap it up for today. So thank you, everybody. I'll be back next Friday for another episode of Wisdom Nexus. Okay, I'll see if I can do another video this week sometime, if I have some time. Again, I'm really busy just putting Anoint together, putting the new Anoint array together, and I'm going to start building these scalar technologies as well, too. So it's going to be really, really amazing seeing exactly where that takes me. Like I said, I'm going back into electronics. I've dabbled with electronics a few years ago and just starting to get back into it. I'm kind of doing a refresher course. I'm doing soldering as well too. So I'm being Tony Stark and I'm building my Iron Man suit. Only this Iron Man suit is scalar. Okay, so I'm looking forward to that, seeing exactly what can be built with my lovely fiance helping me out as well too. So it's going to be great. I'll be keeping you guys updated about how that goes. Okay, but the time will come where I'll be producing these, maybe about 8 to 10 of them per month, and people can sign up to waiting lists and they can grab theirs. Okay, as I said, my goal is to make it a scalar technology unlike anything else. That, like I said, if I could put this on a person who's paralyzed and after a few weeks they can start walking again, well, that's the type of technology I'm building. Okay, so again, thank you, blessings, everybody. Take care. Namaskar, and may it be well with you. Bye for now.